So this is my first time going live on YouTube anyway. It was supposed to be to celebrate the Bengals winning the Super Bowl. As it turns out, it's drowning my sorrows. So yeah, it's really, really rough right now. I've been a Bengals fan since as long as I can remember. Getting to the end of my 30s, and I cannot remember a time when I was not a Cincinnati Bengals fan. And I've said this before, I have no idea. I've never even been to Cincinnati, so I have no idea why I'm a Cincinnati Bengals fan. I just remember being a kid and liking their jerseys, or not their jerseys, their helmets, and thinking the helmets were really cool. So that's why I became a fan. And the last time I can remember them being good, really, was the early 90s. I was like six or seven, something like that. So yeah, it's rough for them to lose in the fashion that they lost so close. I mean, there was a bullshit holding call at the that should have made it 4th and goal for the Rams. So that really should have been the end of the game right there. But as much as you can't call that at the end of a game, T. Higgins did get away with an obvious pass interference call at the beginning of the second half, which gave them a touchdown. So, referees are going to make mistakes. They're going to make bad calls. That happens. I get it. But it's rough. It's rough, here's the thing is, as a football fan, I enjoyed the game. I enjoyed the game. It was I was really impressed with how well the Bengals offensive line was able to protect Joe Burrow. At least in the first half. The first 2 and a half quarters, they did a really good job of protecting Burrow. And it just really all fell apart from there. And I think what happened is that the Rams realized that if they didn't get to Joe Burrow, they were going to get destroyed, especially after that touchdown by T. Higgins. Jalen Ramsey got torched. I think even if Higgins doesn't grab his face mask and turn it around, I think Higgins probably still catches that ball. It might not have been for a touchdown, but he probably still catches that ball. And that's still a 40-yard gain. That still at least ties the game. And I think that I think they knew, like, hey, we have to get to Burrow. Otherwise, he's just going to torch us. And this is going to get really embarrassing really quickly. So I yeah, it's rough. It is. It's really rough right now. So I let's see here. So yeah, I thought it was a really good game. I can't really complain too much. The let me see here. The first quarter went roughly kind of how I thought it would go. I thought there would be some back and forth. I knew the Rams had an explosive offense, so I thought it would look kind of similar to the Chiefs game. But I was actually really surprised. I thought that the Rams would actually get out to like a 14-3, 14-7. Like they get out and be able to put a solid stop on the Bengals in the first quarter and probably get out ahead. I figured they'd probably be up by 10 at the end of the first half, at least 10. So when they were only up by 3, I was really happy with where the Bengals were. Really stoked about it. I was like, okay, the Bengals kind of have them right where they want it, because the Rams were kind of dominating that first half. They were the ones with the big plays. They were the ones with the were kind of moving downfield at will. But then they really couldn't. But they couldn't get away from the Bengals. They couldn't like really put a solid stamp on the game. They scored 2 touchdowns. They botched an extra point. So I was actually really impressed with the Bengals with how they were doing in the first half. But and then when they came out after, was it the first play of the second half and they score a touchdown, I was just I obviously was ecstatic. I was ecstatic about that. I was like, I think this is it. I think the Bengals are going to just there's a possibility the Bengals just blow them out. It just becomes just destroys them. I thought that was a possibility. Unfortunately, especially the Bengals went back down and put up a field goal, which, by the way, shout out to Evan McPherson, tied Adam Vinatieri's record for most field goals in one postseason, and he's a rookie. Didn't miss a field goal at all during the postseason. Hit 2 game winners in the postseason. I mean, you can't say enough about him. I think it was great. He did, like I said, he was able to set the record in the game, or not set the record, tie the record. It's too bad the Bengals weren't able to get down on that final drive so that he could actually set the record. But, it is what it is. But I really thought at the beginning of the second half, I thought it was going to really come down to I thought the Bengals had a chance to really just blow this wide open. You got to give credit to the Rams, though. They came out and they finally did what everybody was worried about. They got to Burrow. I think he got sacked 8 times, 9 times in this game. It's really hard to win games when your quarterback gets sacked that much. It's just it's rough. But they were able to get to Burrow. Burrow had no time to really throw the ball. There were a couple of sacks that were his fault that you just need to get rid of the ball. But when you're getting rushed up the middle, that means there is no pocket. So you can't step up into the pocket because there's no pocket. So I was I was really frustrated that the Bengals, they got up to 20 points And then it all just stopped from there. Really frustrating on that. There was no real. It didn't seem like they could really move the ball that well. And I was, that defense is not a great defense. It's a solid defense. It's a defense you need at least that level of talent on a defense in order to win a Super Bowl. But your offense has to step up at the right times, and the offense didn't step up this time, at least not in the second half. They did in the third quarter. The end of the third quarter, fourth quarter, not so much. Yeah, and then the fourth quarter, the Rams just kind of took over from there. They scored the 10 points they needed in the second half to win the game. But hey, here's the good news from losing. Now, before I get to the good news for losing, I'm just going to address it right now. The holding call at the end of the game. You can say that all you want. You can say that T. Higgins on that long touchdown at the beginning of the third quarter got away with a face mask or a pass interference, whatever you want to call it. And he did. Absolutely, he did. He did. Put that meme. But to call blatantly a blatant non-hold, to call it holding right there when the game is actually on the line, when you're driving down the field, when this team is driving down the field, the defense makes a great play and you fuck it up by calling holding on that play. That is just not, you can't do that as a ref at the end of the game. It's one thing you mess up throughout the game, but you've been letting things slide. Jalen Ramsey got away with some holding and pass interference throughout the game. He ended up getting torched later, but he got away with one earlier. You weren't calling that all game, and now you call it when the game is on the line. That is absolutely ludicrous. So, sure, like I said, even it out, sure. Yeah, if you even it out, yes, the refs screwed up just as many calls for the Bengals as they did for the Rams. They had just as dramatic effects on the game as, when they screw up 100% with the Bengals, and when they screwed up 100% with the Rams. But they actually decided the game there at the end. They didn't decide the game with the bad T. Higgins call, because the Rams still had virtually, 12 seconds, minus 12 seconds on the second half. That is straight crap. So to call that when you haven't called it all game, to call it there at the end. So I'm upset about that, but the reality is this. Joe Burrow still had a minute 30, minute 20 left to get down the field. They were marching down pretty well, but you need time. You need to be able to throw the ball. And he just didn't really have enough time to actually survey the field and be able to step up in the pocket, because there was no pocket. So, something that does take the sting off of this a little bit. Andrew Whitworth was drafted by the Bengals, spent, I think, 10 years with the Bengals. I'm really happy for him that he got a ring. Matthew Stafford has been in NFL hell for his entire career. This is a guy who on a bad year puts up 3,500 yards passing. He's somebody that deserves a ring. Cooper Kupp went to Eastern Washington University. I grew up just outside of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. I'm familiar with that college. He's kind of like a local boy, I guess. So sure, I'm happy that they got their rings. I'm happy they got a ring. Sure, that's great and all. That does take a little bit of the sting off of it, but I just really hope that the Bengals as an organization realize what they have. They have to me, out of the current crop of young quarterbacks, they have the quarterback who has potential I don't think anybody's gonna be able to get to Brady again. That's 10 Super Bowls and he has 7. Getting to Brady is, I don't think that'll probably ever happen. But getting at least to Montana, getting to 4 or 5 Super Bowls. Joe Burrow is that guy. I don't think any other quarterback, any of these young quarterbacks, Mac Jones, Justin Herbert, even Patrick Mahomes, I don't think any of them have a chance. I don't think they can get to that level of what Joe Burrow is capable of. He has a lot of young weapons. He has a defense that you can build on. There's a solid defensive structure there. Get some people to block for him. Your first season with him in there, he got destroyed because you didn't protect him. Now, I get why you didn't, really invest in offensive linemen this year. You wanted, hey, if we get some solid receivers, some more weapons for him, then he can just make quick decisions and throw the ball. He can check down. Joe Mixon is great out of the backfield. Samaje Perine is great out of the backfield. Do that. But this is something that the Bengals organization needs to really do. They need to invest in this team now. It's one thing to get away with that in the 80s and the 90s where, your facilities aren't top notch, where you don't have, I know it gets brought up a lot, but an indoor practice facility, for fuck's sake, man, every other team has an indoor practice facility to keep them out of the elements, at least mostly. Get them something. Carson Palmer got a lot of shit this week for trashing the Bengals organization, and I think rightfully so, because it sounds like sour grapes. He's it sounds like he's just bitter that he was never able to get to the Super Bowl, and now the Bengals are having success without him. And not only having success without him, they had more success with Andy Dalton than they ever had with Carson Palmer. So I really hope that the Bengals organization knows what they have and invest in that, not just on the field. Things, they do need to invest in the offensive line. The offensive line was good for about 2.5 quarters today, but they need to invest in, their practice facilities. They need to invest in scouting. They need to invest in free agencies. I saw something, I think it was on the Pat McAfee show. I saw something where the Bengals are something like $30 million under the salary cap. Spend some fucking money. I understand you want to save money. Everybody loves to save money. Spend some money. I'm not saying you have to go, $30 million over the cap like some teams every year, but at least spend the salary cap, for fuck's sake. So I really hope that the Bengals invest in off the field stuff, facilities for their players, so that going to Cincinnati isn't the grind that it was back in the 70s and 80s. Going to Cincinnati should be like, hey, I'm playing with Joey B. I'm playing with Joe Burrow. That's what going to Cincinnati should be. So that's what I really am hoping out of this, is that the Bengals realize they're this close to multiple Super Bowls, not just going, but winning. They are this close, so close. Fuck, I need a drink. But yeah, it was a good game. But on the plus side of this too, if you're a betting person, if you bet on this game, I really should have put money on this game. I don't know why I didn't. But if I had bet on the Bengals, they covered the spread. So if you bet on the Bengals, even though they lost, you still win. You should have bet on this game because the Bengals actually, I believe the final point spread was 4 points. They lost by 3. You win. There you go. So, yeah, I don't bet. Here's the thing. Every time I bet on somebody, they lose. I go to Vegas, I lose. I don't I don't bet because I always lose. But that's the only good news coming out of the Bengals losing. I hope this does spark the Brown family in general to spend some money, get the Bengals the updated facilities that 21st century professional football teams have. I mean, they had to go to the University of Cincinnati to use their indoor practice facility. I mean, come on, man. To quote our president, come on, man. So get them that. Get Joe Burrow. I mean, the offensive line we had are good players. They're good. Don't get me wrong, but they're not an offensive line that's going to win you a Super Bowl. I think that we found that out today. Get some offensive players that are actually decent. Get them, these guys that are starting today, they would be backups on almost every other team. There's a few of them that are pretty good, but they're not great. So, there's maybe a couple, there's one or two. I think the center is actually really good. But yeah, you need 5 solid offensive linemen. You can't have one really good offensive lineman and then like a weak right side. It doesn't make any sense. So invest not only in the team, invest in them out. And the Rams were able to pull it off. I do not like bad calls at the end of games because that's when you're like, hey, you haven't called that all game and now you're calling it now. You screwed this up on purpose. It lends credence to that, and I don't like that. So, yeah, I'm fucking pissed to say the least. But this is like I said, my team. This is my team. I'm gonna stick with them. Obviously, I'm not gonna be all pissed. I mean, I fucking bought a jersey. So, I'm be drowning my sorrows for the rest of the night. So, yeah, I've got my, it's my sorrows for the rest of the night. And, the more I think about it, I mean, after the Raiders game, I really, my only hope for this season was to get to the playoffs and win one playoff game. So the beginning of the season, I was like, look, if they can get to the playoffs and win one playoff game, I'm going to be happy. So getting the Super Bowl is house money. I mean, when they beat the Titans, I was already happy. When they beat the Chiefs, I was like ecstatic. But now getting to losing the Super Bowl, it stings. It's rough to lose it that way where your playmakers really couldn't get the chance to make the plays because you have kind of a weaker offensive line. It's rough, and it's the game was won exactly how everybody said it would be won. It'd be won in the trenches, the offensive line of the Bengals versus the defensive line of the Rams, and that's what happened. So that's how it goes, and it's sad. Sad for me, anyway. Let me see here real quick. Since I'm live, I might as well just stay live. We'll have some dead air for a little bit. I'm just practicing on here anyway because I might do something for the midterm elections, and I'll probably do something for the midterm elections. I'm not sure yet, so we'll see how it goes. I'm just trying this out to see if see how it works out, so I can kind of understand how this works later. But let me see here. Do I have a? Let me see here. Let's see here. Yes, I'm looking at Twitter. I'm looking at Facebook. I'm looking at all the other stuff going on here. Let me see here. All right. see. Okay. I'm still only going to do this for 30 minutes, so I'll stick on here for another 5 minutes. And let's see here. Let me see here. See if anybody else, see if anybody comes in. Let's see. Anything else? On the plus side, it looks like the pandemic is over because nobody was wearing masks at the Super Bowl, and I believe there's got to be at least 70,000 people there, including the mayor of LA. So the mayor of Los Angeles was there. He wasn't wearing a mask. So it looks like masks are gone. I mean, they're over. I know here in California, Gavin Newsom lifted the mask mandate effective the 15th, which is kind of weird considering today is the 13th of September, or not September, of February. So the 13th of February, the mask mandate comes off for the 15th, except for the Super Bowl. Super Bowl, go ahead, don't wear a mask. The only people who were wearing masks were the people serving the people not wearing masks. So if you want to know how people actually think about you, what people actually think about you, that's what they think about you. You're the rich elite people don't have to wear masks. The peasants wear masks. So that's how that is right now. I'm telling you right now, like the only time I'm wearing masks from now on, once that 15 hits, if there's a store that tells me to wear a mask, I'm not wearing a mask. So no, there's no more mandate. I'm not doing it. So that's it. I'm done with masks here in California as of Tuesday. So on Wednesday, if I have to go to Costco and they say, oh, here's a mask, I was like, no, I'm okay. That's it. If they can suspend the mask mandate for the Super Bowl, they can suspend mask mandates everywhere else. And if this isn't just a glaring example, because here in California, they're still going to keep the mask mandates in schools. So they want your kids to mask up and have to wear that thing over their face when tens of thousands of people can be crammed into a confined area with each other and none of them have to wear masks. I don't know if this is true. Fact check me on this, but my understanding is that they didn't even require the vax proof or the negative test proof for SoFi Stadium for the Super Bowl. They didn't require that. I tried to go to a fucking monster truck show in Sacramento 2 weeks ago or a week ago, and we couldn't get since we couldn't get a test because all the tests are sold out. We couldn't get a test so that we could test negative, even though me and my entire family have already had COVID. We're fine. We have the natural immunity now. We weren't able to get a negative test, so we weren't able to go. We had to sell our tickets. Now, that's fine and all, but we were required to show a negative test in Sacramento at a smaller venue for a monster truck show. Nobody at that event in Los Angeles, one of the most congested places in the whole fucking world, at least in the United States it is, and no no proof of vaccination, no mask required. But starting tomorrow, all those kids in Los Angeles area classrooms, they still have to wear masks in the classroom. This is absolutely ridiculous. I think this completely tears the veil off. This is about control. This is about money. This is about anything other than the science. It's about everything other than the science. So this is absolute bullshit. This is one thing that was good that came out of today, was that we know now the Super Bowl proved masks are useless. So don't wear your masks anymore. It's absolutely ridiculous. If you're from a state, I'm trying to get to one of your states that doesn't require the masks anymore. So, but if you're in California, don't wear your masks anymore. And don't make your kids wear masks. If they want to take them off during school, tell the teachers to fuck off. Okay? If you have the ability, pull your kids out of school. Send them to a different school. And I would recommend running for school board. I'm actually going to start going to school board meetings if I can. I gotta figure it out because my son does start school next year. So I'm gonna start going to school board meetings and kind of trying to figure out how we can get kids out of masks. And I might consider running for my local school board, and we'll go from there, because this is absolutely ridiculous. If you can suspend the mask mandates for the Super Bowl, you can get rid of masks completely for kids, since kids aren't at risk for COVID at all. More kids died in 2019 from the flu than have died from COVID over the last 2 years. Get rid of the mask mandates in schools. If teachers don't like that, they should get vaccinated. The vaccines work, right? The vaccines work. The teachers should get vaccinated, and then they don't have to worry about COVID, do they? So, but if you still die from COVID, if you get COVID and die, but you were vaccinated, what does that say about the vaccine? So, all right. Well, I got to rant a little bit about the vaccine there. Not the vaccine, but the masks. The masks are really stupid. I mean, like I said, I've got 2 masks. I keep them just because I'm in California. Here's one mask. I wear this most of the time, just to remind people that nobody has been held accountable so far for that at all. So there's that. And then this one here. I normally wear this if I have to fly. I wear this one. So that way the the people trying to enforce it know that if I take it off, I'll put it back on begrudgingly. But it'll be more of a, I'm just trying not to get arrested kind of thing. So I'm going to finish my glass of wine, and this is my glass of wine. And, it was a good game. That's really, in general, if you go back and watch the history of the last 56 Super Bowls, you go back and watch all the Super Bowls, a lot of them are just really shitty games. They're blowouts, or they're defensive struggles. Sometimes there's not a lot of scoring. This game was a good game. Came down to the wire. It's good. It was a good game. So I'm still proud of my Bengals. Like I said, after that first playoff game, I was glad my team was playing with house money. So getting to the Super Bowl is exciting. I just hope the Bengals take this as hey, we are so close, this close to actually being able to have a Lombardi trophy in our offices. All we have to do is invest in a few select places, spend some money, really show that, free agents that, hey, you want to come to Cincinnati. And if you can do that, if you can really show the rest of the league like Cincinnati is a place to come, you don't have to break the bank to do it. You have Joe Burrow. You have a franchise quarterback. All you have to do is show that, hey, this is a destination that you want to come live. Your kids will be happy here. You'll be happy here. And coming to work isn't the grind that it is for a lot of people. So just come on down and you'll love it. So that's what I'm hoping comes out of this. You always try to find that silver lining. And yeah, it was a great game. I'm happy that my Bengals were able to get back to a Super Bowl in my lifetime. I'm just hoping that I can watch them win a Super Bowl in my lifetime. That would be nice. So other than that, I'm going to let you guys know of a couple of things that are going on. I am most likely for, over the next couple of months, I may not drop videos at all. There's going to be some weekends where I won't drop anything. I am going on some family vacations, basically. Now that these mask mandates and things like that are being lifted in a lot of places in the country, I've decided my family is going to actually go and do family stuff. So taking the kids next in April, taking the kids to Disney World. That's great. My daughter has still not been to Disneyland. I basically always said I never went to Disneyland when I was a kid, so I didn't go to Disneyland until I was in my 30s. So I want to make sure my kids get an opportunity to go to Disneyland, especially since, like I said, I'm trying to get out of California as quickly as I can. So if I can get out of California, my kids may not get a lot more opportunities to go to Disneyland because I'm not flying all the way across the country to go to Disneyland. So we'll see there. But in the meantime, go ahead and leave a comment on this. I check the comments. I know a lot of people say don't check the comments, but I only have 280 subscribers right now. So, leave comments for me. I want to hear from you guys. What state should I move to? I've got it narrowed down. It's really down to, it's 5. It's really 3, but it's 5. As kind of like, my wife has gotten more interested in Texas again after not really liking Texas. But let me know where to go right now in this order. The states we're looking at are Tennessee, Florida, just like everybody else, Florida. So Tennessee, Florida, and New Hampshire. Those are the 3 states right now that are the top 3 for where we're thinking about moving. I said New Hampshire, so that's my one state where I'm like, hey, we're keeping this in the top 3 in New Hampshire. My wife is dead set against New Hampshire, but this is we'll see how that goes. So the other 2 right now are Texas and Nevada. I don't want to say Nevada because it's actually Vegas. My wife has a lot of family in Vegas, so moving to Vegas wouldn't be that big of a deal because there's a support structure there. The problem is that I know Vegas is growing a lot right now. Their schools are awful. They're terrible. So I don't want to have to shell out $20,000 a year for a private school. So especially, I have 2 kids. We want to have more kids. Trying to outbreed the lefties here in the U.S. So I'm trying to find places that have good schools. So right now we're thinking, right now Tennessee's at the top of our list. It's actually kind of way ahead right now. Florida, because my wife has never actually lived in a cold weather climate. So someplace where there's no cold weather basically ever. So there's that. New Hampshire, just because right now it's the state that kind of excites me the most as far as what's going on politically. So looking there, but obviously Texas, just like every other Californian thinking about moving to Texas. And I'm looking really long and hard at number 6, or 5A is North Carolina. I reached out to a friend of mine from high school, college, and he loves it there. He's been living there since I think 2003. Loves it there. So I reached out to him. He loves it there. I'm thinking about checking it out, but we'll see. It's like I said, it's 5A or it's 6. But right now, Tennessee's kind of top of our list, just outside of Nashville. That's where I'm looking at. It's also saves, it's actually good for me because if the Bengals keep up these winning ways, then I can actually, it's only a 4 or 5 hour drive away. That's a weekend. That's a weekend trip. That's like driving from where I live now to LA. That's like going to Disneyland. So that's good for me. But I want to thank everybody who tuned in today. Go ahead and leave me a comment on here if you want. I'd love to hear what your takes are on Super Bowl 56. And, you can always give me crap for being a Bengals fan. I don't care. They made it to the Super Bowl this year. Unless you're a Rams fan, which there aren't really many, but unless you're a Rams fan, your team didn't make it here. In fact, my team probably beat your team. So go ahead and leave some comments. You can follow me, as always, on Twitter at Heathen Kirk. And you can, if you want to support my work, check me out on Rumble. Rumble's good. I'm doing a live stream here because Rumble right now requires you to pay for a monthly subscription to do live streams. I don't have even the extra $25 to do that right now. Remember, I have a full-time job outside of this. So if you want to support my work though, filthyheathens.locals.com. Check that out. Sign up as a subscription. I think I have it set at like $10 a month. It's not a big expense. And if once I get on locals, once I can get to 100 subscribers on locals and actually start making, actually making money there. In fact, you don't even have to subscribe. Just go and follow my channel. And once I get to 100 people who subscribe there without really paying, then I can start putting things behind the paywall. And then I can start saying, hey, if you want access to the paywall, if you think it's worth it, then you can start paying me if you want. So just go there and subscribe. So it's not a huge deal for you. Other than that, again, I'm still sad for my Bengals, so I'm going to go be sad with my glass of wine. And everybody tuned in, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. And yeah, thanks for letting me vent my frustrations today. It's a sad day, sadness, despair, melancholy, all that stuff. But hey, I'm hoping that this is just one of many trips to the Super Bowl that my Bengals can have over the next 20 years. And that will be great. So I'm going to sign off here for the night. And thanks you guys for checking me out today. Bye, guys.